Iki Kurogane, a teenager recognized as the worst one at his school for his lack of skill, gets ready for his usual morning training. In another location, Stella Vermilion, the princess of the Vermilion Kingdom, is seen arriving in Japan to enroll at Hagen Academy. After completing his training, Iki heads back to his room and unexpectedly walks in on Stella, and the situation worsens when Iki badly attempts to retaliate by stripping down himself. Iki is subsequently called to the director's office, where Kurono chases him for his inappropriate behavior before bringing Stella in so that Iki can formally apologize to her. However, Stella insists that Iki perform harakiri as a form of apology, much to Iki's dismay, who accidentally exclaims that he won't take his own life just for seeing Stella in that state. Infuriated by Iki's remark, Stella begins to generate flames, prompting Kurono to exit the office to avoid any involvement. In a moment of desperation, Iki declares that he was enchanted by Stella's beauty, which surprises her and causes her flames to diminish due to shyness. As Iki attempts to clarify the situation again, Kurono returns to disclose that both Iki and Stella are roommates, leaving them both astonished. Kurono then escorts the two to their shared room and explains the reasons behind their roommate arrangement, which displeases Stella as she imposes more unreasonable demands on Iki. To resolve the situation, Kurono presents them with the option of settling the matter through a duel, which ultimately escalates into a contest where the loser becomes a lifelong slave to the winner, as per Stella's demand following Iki's offhand comment that the victor would remain unknown until the actual fight. Later, Stella is shown preparing for her match against Iki while reflecting on her efforts to master her powers, feeling frustrated by others perceiving her solely as someone with talent. Meanwhile, at the battle arena, Iki is seen discussing his graduation terms with Kurono, which includes winning the 7 Stars Sword Art Festival. Subsequently, Stella arrives at the arena, and their match officially commences as both parties summon their respective devices. Stella initiates the duel with a fierce attack, but Iki continuously counters her moves, managing to mimic Stella's sword techniques and nearly striking her. While lamenting her undesired method of winning, Stella unleashes one of her most powerful attacks, Catharterio Salamandra, as a sign of respect towards Iki. Iki openly recognizes his shortcomings as a mage knight and reveals his secret technique, Ito Shura, which forcibly removes all of his physical limitations, significantly enhancing his abilities. By evading all of Stella's assaults, Iki successfully strikes Stella, securing his victory in the duel before collapsing from exhaustion. Stella is then shown in the hospital room, receiving care, and Kurono arrives at her bedside. Stella asks Kurono how Iki could possibly be an F-rank knight, to which Kurono clarifies that the ranking system is determined by the Blazers' abilities rather than their actual combat skills. Stella subsequently enters her room to discover Iki asleep on one of the beds. Stella climbs onto Iki and starts to explore him, becoming surprised at her initial contact with a man. She then hits her head after Iki wakes up to see what she was doing. Stella engages in conversation with Iki and expresses her regret for misjudging him when she hardly knew him. Iki smiles and reminds Stella of her obligation to him. Iki then instructs Stella to become his roommate. Stella consents, and they both fist bump, pledging to make their arrangement successful. Stella and Iki are then depicted having just completed their daily 20 kilometers run together. Iki offers Stella a sip from his bottle, who is initially taken aback by the offer since it would constitute an indirect kiss. Stella ultimately accepts it, while Iki expresses his enthusiasm about his sister's arrival at the school. Yuri Oreki, the homeroom teacher, presents herself to all of the freshmen and Iki. Yuri reminds the class that this year's involvement in the 7 Sword Art Festival will rely on winning selection battles and nothing else, and that they will be notified through their student IDs. Yuri then encourages her students to engage in the selection battles, and shortly after, she suddenly starts vomiting blood and collapses. Yuri is then seen in the infirmary alongside Stella and Iki. Iki explains to Stella that Yuri was the reason he could attend school initially. Yuri also comments on how unfortunate the previous year was. Iki and Stella stroll through the hallway, and Stella inquires about what transpired last year. Iki explains that he was unable to attend classes last year, and just before he could elaborate, a girl named Kagami appears and hugs him, making Stella feel jealous and walk off. Iki pursues her as the silver-haired girl appears, and Iki recognizes her as Shizuku, his sister. Shizuku then kisses him on the lips, startling everyone around, including Iki and Stella. Stella interrupts before Shizuku can kiss Iki again, which angers Shizuku due to the interruption. Stella clarifies that she interrupted because she was Iki's servant and also pointed out that they had shared the same bed. Shizuku then opts to deploy her device, Yoshigure, intending to eliminate Stella. Stella counters by deploying her device, leading to a clash that results in an explosion in the hallway. The two receive punishment in the form of cleaning duty for their actions. After they complete the cleaning, Shizuku and Stella continue to bicker, leading Shizuku to inadvertently mention Ikki's past and how it felt as if he didn't matter to his family. Shizuku then concludes the conversation as she heads to her room. Shizuku is then greeted back to her room by her roommate, Nagi. Stella then encounters Ikki outside in front of the school, where she asks him if his family treated him as if he never existed. Ikki chooses to reveal the truth and describes how his family has treated him over the years. One day, Ikki reached his breaking point and decided to flee during a severe snowstorm. Just as he was about to collapse, Ryoma, his grandfather, appeared to him, urging him not to lose hope while he carried him back home. Ikki goes on to explain that his family even pressured the school to ensure he failed so that Ikki could never become a knight. While Ikki and Stella are conversing, Shizuku speaks with her roommate and shares Ikki's circumstances and how she found out about them. Shizuku then expresses her determination to provide Ikki with the love of a father, mother, brother, and sister. Ikki is later seen in the hot tub, and Stella enters offering to wash him. Ikki feels hesitant, but Stella emphasizes that a servant must serve her master. Ikki finds himself in a bad situation. As she washes his back, Stella inquires if Ikki likes hers. Ikki confesses that he does like big round things. Ikki wishes to move, but Stella does not want him to. Her wear falls to the floor, prompting her to look at her, causing her to blush. Ikki notices the swimsuit and assumes that Stella is, but before that, angered, Stella slaps Ikki.